Hey, welcome back. So today we're digging into something wild, what AI engineers at the top of the market are actually taking home. And more importantly, the exact skills that turn a 150K offer into a 900K package. I've got real comp data, the skills that actually move the needle, and a roadmap you can start this week. No hype, just the numbers. Let's get into it. $900,000. That's the total comp package for a staff AI engineer at Anthropic right now. Not a VP. Not a director, an individual contributor writing code. Meanwhile, a solid ML engineer at a Series B startup might pull 180K. Same job title, 5 times the pay. So, what's actually going on here? Today I'm breaking down real compensation data from levels.fyi, verified blind posts, and public equity disclosures to show you exactly which skills create these gaps, and more importantly, whether there's a realistic path to actually acquire them. No motivation porn, no 12-week bootcamp promises. Just the mechanics of how AI compensation actually works in 2026. Before we dive into the skills, let's talk about where this data comes from because AI salary discourse is drowning in made-up numbers. I'm pulling from 3 sources: Levels, FYI verified submissions which require offer letter screenshots, blind posts with corroborating details that match known company bans, and public SEC filings for equity grant values. When I say Anthropic staff engineers hit 900K, that's base around 350 to 400, plus equity grants valued at 400 to 500 annually at current valuations, plus bonuses. OpenAI research engineers at the senior level are seeing 450 to 650 total comp. Google DeepMind senior research scientists, 500 to 750. Meta Fair senior engineers, 400 to 550. These aren't aspirational numbers, they're the current market for people who can actually do the work at frontier labs. Let's start at the foundation. A capable ML engineer or backend developer with some PyTorch experience, maybe fine-tuned a model or two, built some RAG pipelines, you're looking at 150 to 250K total comp at well-funded startups or big tech. This is the entry point. You understand transformers conceptually, you can use the APIs, you can ship features that involve ML. At companies like Notion, Figma, Stripe, senior engineers touching AI features land in this band. It's good money. But you're essentially a consumer of AI, not a builder of AI systems. The ceiling is real because you're dependent on abstractions other people created. The jump to 350 to 500K happens when you stop using AI and start building the systems that make AI work reliably. This is the infrastructure layer. You're designing inference pipelines that handle 10,000 requests per second with P99 latencies under 200 milliseconds. You understand CUDA at the kernel level. You can optimize a model from 16-bit to 4-bit quantization without destroying output quality. At this tier, you're at places like Scale AI, Databricks, or big tech ML platform teams, Netflix, Uber, LinkedIn. The key insight: this tier is about making models run fast, cheap, and reliably in production. Not training them, not improving their intelligence, making them operational. This is actually undersupplied right now because most ML PhD programs don't teach production systems, and most backend engineers don't understand the math well enough to optimize it. Now the 600 to 900K tier. This is where it gets specific. Frontier Labs, Anthropic, OpenAI, DeepMind, xAI are paying these packages for people who can do things that maybe a few hundred people in the world can do well. We're talking about designing new architectures that meaningfully improve capability benchmarks. Building evaluation frameworks that can actually measure model intelligence in ways that predict real-world performance. Creating the agentic infrastructure, tool use, planning systems, memory architectures that turn language models into autonomous systems. At Anthropic, a staff engineer working on constitutional AI training infrastructure is hitting 850 to 900K. At OpenAI, the inference team optimizing GPT-4 to run profitably has senior members at 700K plus. The common thread: you're not implementing known solutions. You're creating new capabilities that didn't exist before. And critically, you can prove it through papers, through systems that shipped, through measurable improvements. So, what are the actual skills that command these premiums? Let me be specific. First, LLM systems architecture. Not calling APIs, designing how models get deployed, scaled, and served. Understanding the trade-offs between batching strategies, KV cache optimization, speculative decoding. Second, inference optimization. This is CUDA programming, kernel fusion, quantization-aware training, understanding memory bandwidth bottlenecks at the hardware level. Third, agentic pipelines and orchestration. building systems where models call tools, maintain state, plan multi-step actions, and handle failures gracefully. This is emerging as the highest demand skill because it's where the product value is shifting. Fourth, evaluation and alignment infrastructure. Creating benchmarks that actually predict model behavior, red teaming systems, RLHF pipeline development. This one's interesting because it's where the safety labs are desperately hiring, and it requires a unique blend of ML knowledge and adversarial thinking. Here's a realistic 18-month roadmap for a working developer. Months 1 through 4. Deep dive on transformer internals. Not tutorials. Read the actual papers. Implement attention from scratch. Understand why architectural choices were made. Build 3 to 5 serious projects that demonstrate understanding. Months 5 through 9. Pick one specialization from the premium skills. I'd recommend inference optimization if you have systems background, agentic pipelines if you have product background. Contribute to open source in that area. Months 10 through 14. Get a role at a company where you can work on production AI systems. Startups are actually better here than big tech because you'll touch more of the stack. Except that this might be a lateral or even slight down move in comp months 15 through 18. Ship something measurable. A paper, a significant open source contribution, a system that moved metrics at your company. This is your proof of work for the 500K plus conversations. The uncomfortable truth. This path requires genuine technical depth. There's no shortcut. The biggest mistake I see? People optimizing for AI adjacent roles instead of AI core roles. Being the PM for an AI product doesn't teach you to build AI. Being a data scientist who fine-tunes models occasionally doesn't teach you systems. The market is brutally bimodal. There's a glut of people who can use AI tools and a severe shortage of people who can build AI infrastructure. The premium comp exists precisely because the skills are hard and the supply is low. If a 12-week bootcamp could create 900K engineers, the salary wouldn't be 900K. That's not gatekeeping, that's economics. The question isn't whether you can reach these tiers. It's whether you're willing to do the actual work to become genuinely excellent at something genuinely difficult. Because the demand is there. The money is there. The only variable is whether you are.